when a farmer can't get yam to Coronation Market, or when a truck can't reach a rural agro-processing center or the market in Montego Bay, it undermines food security, and we all pay the price. The road from the farm to the fork must be passable, reliable, and resilient. We would include a further amount of at least $5 million annually per division in rural areas to maintain farm-to-market roads. That would be building back better than before. And by doing it through the local governance network, you're empowering local communities. It would avoid the pitfalls of centralized bureaucracy. It would empower local people with local knowledge to fix local roads on a timely basis. This places accountability where it belongs, in the hands of local communities and their local representatives. That would be building up better than before. So when you come with the One Road Authority, I ask that that be a part of its design. Can't be centralizing everything, because that's just going to create a bottleneck that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development. Madam Speaker, I now turn to the cultural and creative economy, which is not merely an economic sector, but the very heartbeat of our nation. The contraction in tourism, the closure of hospitals and hotels and restaurants, the cancellation of cultural tours, all since Melissa, has disrupted the cultural economy of the tourism belt. Community recreation and entertainment, the fish fries and round robins that keep our community alive have taken a hit. And now we hear that Sumfest moving from Mobay, and it's going to be one night in St. Anne. That's a big hit for Mobay. Over recent months, we have had to say farewell to too many of our cultural icons. The great Jimmy Cliff, who helped to make reggae music an international genre and carried a message of liberation to the world stage. He has left us. We have lost two truly great musicians in Sly Dunbar and Cat Core. We have lost Max Romeo and Cocotte, two much-loved voices in our genre. They've passed. These were not only entertainers, they were architects of our national identity, ambassadors of our culture, and chroniclers of our lived experience. We honor their memory. It is in this context that I renew my call, made in this House repeatedly over the past years, for the conferral of the Order of National Hero on the Honorable Robert Nesta Marley and the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley. Bob Marley is not just Jamaica's most famous entertainer, musician, performer. He is a global symbol of one love, of unity, of resistance to oppression in all its forms. His legacy continues to grow and inspire all peoples of the world. He is deserving of our highest national honor. His 80th birthday has passed. The government must act. Miss Lou's pioneering performances and poetry in the Jamaican language provided deeper consciousness and self-affirmation of our cultural identity and uplifted our national confidence. She should be recognized as our second female national heroine. Madam Speaker, in building back better, you must ensure that our artists, our musicians, and our other creatives have access to financing, have access to training, and have access to markets. Right now, they're too often on their own. We would establish a $1 billion revolving creative economy fund to support our creative practitioners in the entertainment, in arts, in fashion, in culture. Investing in our globally competitive cultural assets will help to build back better than before. Madam Speaker, the current system for obtaining permits for entertainment events is fragmented, frustrating, and often unfair, especially in communities that are stigmatized, like some that I represent. The system needs to be made simple, it needs to be transparent, and it needs to be fair. Why haven't you fixed this after 10 years? We need less talk and more action. Our plan Our plan would have seen us establish a single window, one-stop permit system for entertainment event applications, transparent and fair. We would build back a cultural economy better than before, because when we invest in our culture, we nourish the heart and soul of Jamaica. We recognize the importance of culture and the creative industries in general, and the entertainment sector in particular, in providing livelihoods and driving commerce at the base of the economy. It is a very important sector. Madam Speaker, I move to small business. If you want to gauge the buoyancy of the Jamaican economy, look at the stock market under this government. This government has presided over 5 years of dormant valuations, sluggish listings, diminishing returns, and wealth. But what about the market vendor, the corner shop owner, the mechanic, the hairdresser, the small contractor? These should be the real engines of our economy, but they are struggling. MSMEs with concrete, practical support. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of the overall economy. This inhibits, I remind you that in 2015, Jamaica had the best performing stock exchange in the world. Don't forget that, because you like to revise history. But we're not letting you do it. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of our total economy. This inhibits national development, because informality is a restriction on the scope for business expansion. These businesses are often excluded from the financial system and from opportunities to build market share, and it contributes to our weak economic growth. The informal economy, Madam Speaker, the informal economy is large, not because Jamaicans want to be outside the system, but because the barriers to formalization are high, and the incentives to do so are unreachable. The cost of compliance when MSMEs seek to formalize, both in terms of fees, in terms of effort, are burdensome. Too many of Jamaica's bureaucratic systems are business unfriendly. Even government programs for MSME support that are announced and funded year after year have failed to have the desired impact. Their design and the requirements imposed fail to take the limited capacity of MSMEs into account. And so we don't have transformation. We don't have transition to a better economy. You must lower these costs and remove these barriers. That's your job. That is what we would be doing. That's what we would be doing. We would offer a 3-year tax holiday for businesses once they formalize their operations. We would provide discounted government registration, permit, and licensing fees for doing business throughout the same period for new businesses coming into the fold. We would be building back better than before and empowering the economy at the base. This government, and every government, spends billions of dollars annually on goods and services. Small businesses should get their share. The law to allow this has been in place since 2019. We modernized the procurement system with the Public Procurement Act. Regulations took a long time to come after we did that. 2019, they came with provisions for setbacks and margins of appreciation for vulnerable and underserved groups, etc. 2019, nothing has been done to make it happen. 7 years later, you're saying you want to do it now. Well, let's see. This cannot be just mere talk and more of the same. You should be proactive in pushing these arrangements to favor MSMEs. Earmark 15% of government contracts for MSMEs. Actively monitor that target to ensure that it happens. Don't just set a target. Monitor the target, and if it's not on track, why is it not on track? What adjustments need to be made to make it happen? That's what we would be doing. That is building back better than before. Madam Speaker, our young people in this country have ideas. They have energy. They have talent. They need capital. They need mentorship. What are you doing about this? I don't see nothing. Way too little. We would have established a revolving $1 billion National Youth Innovation Fund to support youth-led tech and creative startups, empowering our youth to innovate and lead. That would be building back better. You must do something for the young people. I move to workers' rights and the dignity of work. Madam Speaker, the labor movement worked to build modern Jamaica. From the struggles of 1938 to the trade unions of today, workers have fought for every right they enjoy. But those rights are under threat. A longer, fair...
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law do we meditate day and night. For we shall be like trees planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth our fruit in our season. Our leaves shall not wither, and whatsoever we do shall prosper. Welcome to the Colin Bell Show. We are live on Caribbean Radio, 97.9 HD4, ever expanding. Good evening, Bro G. Good evening, Mrs. Smith. How are you, ma'am? We're spreading our wings at Caribbean Radio. Where say we in Philadelphia? Big up on yourself. My name is Colin Bell, and if you joined us before, or if you just joined us, we are listening to a presentation happening live in the Parliament of Jamaica, the budget presentation of the Leader of Opposition, Mark Jefferson Golden. Let's listen in some more.
What are you doing to incentivize greater national productivity? That's what I want to know. What are you doing? We would remove taxes and overtime pay for persons earning up to $6 million annually. We would remove tax from tips and gratuities for hotel workers and others in the hospitality sector. We would establish joint industrial councils in sectors with high employment but low union representation, bringing employers and workers together to negotiate basic standards on pay and conditions that will attract workers to those industries. Right now, they're struggling to find employees because the conditions of work on other terms are not attractive. That needs to be fixed. That is building back better than before. Madam Speaker, no Jamaican in full-time employment should be living in poverty. We would task the Planning Institute of Jamaica with developing a framework for transitioning from a minimum wage to a living wage, tied to the actual cost of living and adjusted annually for inflation. This would be building back better than before. No more arbitrary increases and so on. It would be a better system. But, Madam Speaker, while doing these important things for the workers, we must not leave out the employers. In taking on the risks of business, they create employment opportunities for our people. They tell us that one of their biggest challenges right now is finding skilled workforce, a skilled workforce that their business needs. Our economy generally, and reconstruction after Melissa in particular, requires skills that have been depleted in this country by years of migration and the mismanagement, quite frankly, of the national training system. This government has failed to come to grips with the productivity gap. Productivity has been in persistent long-term decline in Jamaica at an average annual rate of nearly 0.9%. That problem must be addressed. Sustainable economic growth cannot move to the next gear without a skilled workforce to drive productivity. Good. I'm glad to see you clap. I want to see you do something about it. That's what I want. I don't want to clap. I want you to do something about it. We do not believe in importing workers when Jamaicans here can do the work. We don't believe in that. On the other hand, where skills are needed to build the economy and those skills are not available here, it holds back investment and growth. Our system of work permits needs to efficiently, transparently, and inexpensively facilitate the filling of skills which, based on objective evidence and analysis, are insufficiently available locally. It cannot be that you just open up to foreign workers to undercut local workers, drive down or suppress wages in the economy, and also having a permit system which is often corrupt. That can't be the solution. We would implement a digital system for work permit applications to streamline the process for overseas skills, as has been done successfully in Grenada. Grenada started it, and we can do it. While this will help to drive economic growth in the short term, importing skills cannot be a substitute for building and retaining local capacity. Businesses who employ persons from overseas must put in place apprenticeship programs to ensure the transfer of skills to local workers, so that when the overseas employee's contract is up, the skills are still here to help build our economy. Our plan would also incentivize the building of local capacity by providing a matching grant, dollar for dollar, to businesses which invest in training programs. This would be funded out of heart, but would utilize the best form of training, which is hands-on training, on the job, practical experience, immersed in the work discipline of an actual business environment, one for one, dollar for dollar, building the training network, the training capacity of the country, so we can improve productivity, upskill our workforce, compete in the world, build wealth, and a strong economy. Madam Speaker, the quality of a society should be measured by how it treats its most vulnerable members. You say a lot, but you don't deliver anything. So, our senior citizens, much of whom have spent their working lives building this country, too often struggle to access their pensions on time. Persons with disabilities face barriers in transportation, housing, education, employment, and daily life. Survivors of domestic violence seek shelter and find waiting lists. That's what's happening. What are you doing about these things? That's my question. What are you doing about these things? The slow payment of pensions, the need for accessibility for persons with disabilities, and domestic violence victims. Strengthening our social safety net should be a critical part of building back better. We would recognize and prioritize timely delivery of pension payments and increase the tax exemption on pension income, recognizing that our seniors have paid their dues and deserve to live with dignity. That should be done. We would be making real positive change. We would establish a national disability fund, allocating, again, $1 billion annually to support persons with disabilities. You see, when you target resources, it's not huge sums of money, but when they're targeted to areas of need, it can really make a massive difference. And that's what needs to happen.
Caribbean Radio, 97.9 HD4. If you're just joining us, we're coming to you live from Jamaica.
And
we are carrying live from the House of Parliament.
Community.
His contribution to the 2025-2026 budget presentation, the Leader of Opposition, Mark Golden.
We would establish support centers in every parish for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence, providing safe havens, counseling, and legal support. Every parish should have a center for that type of care and protection, because gender-based violence is a big problem right across the country. We recognize that important, unsupported social outreach of the church community and other faith-based organizations. We recognize how important that is. They assist vulnerable Jamaicans, especially in underserved communities. We would be establishing a faith-based community transformation fund, funded with $1 billion annually, to support the programs of churches and faith-based organizations that strengthen families, that promote economic resilience, and build community cohesion. They are filling a massive gap in underserved communities, but they struggle. They could do so much more. They have the wherewithal, they have the good intent, they know the people on the ground. The state should get behind them and help to make them make a big difference. Madam Speaker, these are measures that would build back better than before. Now, all well-thinking Jamaicans, welcome and celebrate the significant fall in murders in Jamaica over the past 2 years. And that is after 8 years of questionable policies, using states of emergency as a routine policing tool that the Constitutional Court has ruled to be unlawful. I once again want to extend congratulations to the Commissioner of Police and those brave and selfless police officers for this significant achievement. Respect is due to them. Madam Speaker, the policy of focused deterrence, which we have been calling for some time, has brought results. However, few people are comfortable with a very high level of police fatal shootings. Sometimes in circumstances where there are no living witnesses other than the officers involved. Sustained success in law enforcement requires the support and buy-in of the local population. It does. You can't have a sustained program without the support of the local population. And that support will be at risk if there is a feeling that accountability and justice are being sacrificed. And I've experienced this recently in my own constituency. It's a matter that is probably going to be before the court and so on. I'm not going to speak to it in detail. This is why I once again call for the introduction of body-worn cameras, especially on special operations, when many of the controversial fatal shootings take place. It is not happening. Don't tell me it's happening. Body-worn cameras have been successfully used overseas and are now the norm in several jurisdictions. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Constabulary Force will benefit. The force will benefit from the enhanced confidence that it will bring among the population when they are assured that there is accountability on both sides for what happened and that they are here to serve and protect. It is a win-win, and I encourage the police to roll it out quickly. Madam Speaker, thousands of Jamaicans are trapped in a cycle of debt, which prevents them from moving forward. They owe property taxes, they owe traffic tickets, they owe water bills, they owe student loans. Interest and penalties have often grown less than the original debt, and they cannot see a way out. Providing a genuine second chance to these Jamaicans so that they can start over again is a powerful way to build back better than before. We should offer them a second chance for a clean slate. We would give people some room to restart and recover. We would forgive outstanding interest and penalties owed to the government on these debts. And we would provide a moratorium payment for the repayment of principal. This is an investment in economic activity. When people are freed from the weight of unpayable debt, they can start to build back their lives. Most often, they benefit from learning where they went wrong before and avoiding repeating those past mistakes. You won't get 100% improvement, but in any good idea, if you're getting majority benefits, and that's worth doing, many will start businesses. Some will buy homes. They will contribute to the economy. Madam Speaker, clean slate is not just compassionate. It is economically sound. It is another building back. It's another building block in the foundation of building back better than before. Madam Speaker, women are the backbone of this economy and this society. Women. Women run our markets. Women create new businesses as entrepreneurs, including in agriculture. They staff our hospitals. They lead our classrooms. They shape businesses and corporations. They basically are the majority in the judiciary, in the civil service. They hold families together. Our women are real superstars. Yet the data shows starkly that systems and structures of our society are failing women in several respects. 1 in 4 women will experience interpartner violence in their lifetime. 1 in 4. Women earn less. Women earn less than men for equivalent work. They are overrepresented in informal employment without access to pensions, health insurance, or housing loans. They bear the primary burden of unpaid care work in the home, and that limits their ability to participate fully in the economy. And when disaster strikes, as it did with Hurricane Melissa, women and girls are disproportionately affected, facing increased risks of violence, displacement, and economic insecurity. I want to say, what are you doing about this? Concrete, measurable action is needed. We would tackle gender-based violence as the national emergency it is. We would launch a national mobile app for the immediate reporting of gender-based violence, integrated with emergency services and local shelters. We would establish special victim support centers, as I've said, in every parish, providing safe havens, counseling, and legal support for survivors. We would complete the long-standing review, the outstanding review of the Domestic Violence Act, and implement its recommendations to protect women against domestic violence, against stalking, against cyber harassment, against digital abuse. We would strengthen the economic empowerment of women. Our 3-year tax holiday would help women-owned enterprises to step out of the shadows and into the formal economy, earmarking 15% of government contracts for MSMEs would create new opportunities for women entrepreneurs. Our Clean Slate program, forgiving interest and penalties on debts owed to government, will disproportionately benefit women as they are overrepresented among micro entrepreneurs and informal workers. And our policy to remove tax from overtime pay for persons earning up to $6 million a year would put more money in the pockets of working women. Our policies on ending the abuse of short-term contracts at the workplace and the establishment of joint industrial councils in sectors where union representation is low, such as tourism and retail and security, would benefit women who are predominant in those sectors. We would seek to enhance women's participation in political life. For the first time, over 30% of our candidates in the last general election were women. We will work with all political parties, civil society, the Electoral Commission to explore mechanisms for increasing women's representation in national and local government. Madam Speaker, these measures are part of a comprehensive approach to gender justice that recognizes that when women rise, Jamaica rises. When women are safe, families are safe. When women earn, communities prosper. When women lead, governments and governance improves. Because building back better than before means building back fairer, building back with justice, building back so that every Jamaican, regardless of gender, can live in dignity, security, and hope, there must be an activist policy in this area. That is our commitment, and we are sure that it would mean building back better than before. Madam Speaker, in 6 months, Jamaica has endured a ferocious hurricane that has tested our national will and our resilience. The war in the Middle East will reverberate across the globe to our shores, threatening supply chains, pushing up prices, making daily lives even harder. The coming months and the coming years will require many decisions that will test our judgment. This is not the time for lazy thinking, for complacency in how the country is governed. As we have shown in this budget debate, there is a better way that things can be done, from the design of the budget itself to the prioritization of things that can make Jamaica stronger and make life better for our people. As this budget debate has shown, there is a genuine alternative to the status quo, an alternative that actively builds on the solid foundation of fiscal stability and brings hope to our people. Jamaica's economy does not need to just drift slowly along as the dreams of our people take them overseas. Now is the time to build back better. It is not just a slogan. It is a call to action for Jamaica to step up its game, do the things and make the changes that will bring a positive difference to our reality. We have put in the time and effort to show that there's a better way forward for Jamaica. We are ready to confront and overcome the challenges and deliver strong and inclusive national development. Yes, it is possible to build a Jamaica where every child can learn, where workers earn value for their effort, where businesses can grow, where each family can own a home, and where every citizen can live with dignity. May God bless the people of Jamaica on this beautiful land we call home. Thank you.
Wow. Why so long, Marky G? That was 3 hours and a little more by opposition leader Mark Golding in his contribution to the budget presentation today. Yes, sir. Marky G, get bad. Build back better, the man say. We can build back better. You have been listening to a live broadcast from Jamaica, from Jamaica's House of Parliament, House of Representatives. Thanks to tuning in to the Colin Bell Show. We're live on Caribbean Radio. Yeah, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Mama Joy, good evening. Sister Bobette, good evening. Venus, Celine, Richard Nardi, Jeffrey. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Colin Bell Show as we come to you live from the studios of Portland Spice TV on YouTube. Yeah, man. Caribbean Radio. Somebody said great speech. I don't know if I am fully satisfied. I am still digesting the speech. I wanted more. I wanted more. I expected to hear about governance. I expected to hear more about integrity. Some of the things that I would want to hear more from Mark Jefferson Golding. So, this evening, we're going to be talking to Ralston Hyman, who want to hear his views on this speech by Mark Golding, where Ralston think about it. I wanted to hear more alternatives. Mark also laid out a slew of things that the PNP would do. And I hear the question from the labor rights. How would you pay for all of this? And I have that question too. In a year where Melissa, I would say the government out of ideas putting in taxes, how would we pay? Yes, some solutions was presented. And one of the critical things, and I think it is something that Mark Golding has shown that he's capable of doing, is collecting the taxes that is out there to be collected. And one of the reasons why I believe Mark Golding would do well at that is he's coming out of the business sector. One of the shortcomings for me of even the present GLP leader has never really been a businessman per se. And a lot of people in politics are career politicians. They have never really been deep in business. So, as Danville Walker said one time, Some of them has never even seen a real balance sheet, so they wouldn't understand it. And therefore, Mark was integral in restructuring Jamaica's tax system. And that's why the present administration was able to collect more taxes than any other administration in the history of this country. That platform was really set out by Mark Golding. So I would say that he has a knack for that. He understands it very well. And NC laid out some of the leakages that a PNP administration would stop and be able to collect much more revenue in taxes and not have to bring new tax to the country. Because as Julian said last week, Thursday, and the opposition leader said today, that new taxes is not really the way to go. Not the way to go at all. At this time, we need to find other ways to finance the budget, at least for this year. One of the critical points that he also made, was that the space given by the easing of the fiscal policy is only possible for 2 years. And if you're going to ramp up the economy and do more spending, you need to do it now. So, I'm still digesting the speech. I expect to be joined by Conrad O'Brien and Ralston Hyman to hear their views on the speech presented by the comrade leader. Never expected it to be so long. Woo! Never expected it to be so long at all. But when you're ready, send you ready. But this was 3 hours plus by the opposition leader. Never expected that long speech. I think Julian Favour did about 2 hours. Julian did about 2 hours because Favour, the Minister of Finance, spoke last week. And when it was showtime, she was done and dusted. So you may ask why we didn't carry Favour last week. And if you realize we only carry a part of Mark's speech, the part that was on when we come on live. We don't create a program just for that. So once it is within the program time, we carry it. Prime Minister Andrew Holness will deliver his presentation on Thursday. We're not on a Thursday. Next week, Tuesday, the Minister of Finance will close. Now, will we be able to carry any of her stuff? And I am guessing that she will be finished by the time we come on here. I think so. I think she's going to be finished by that time. All right, so Julian spoke last Thursday. Let's listen to a little of what he had to say.
New initiative we are proposing is the establishment of a digital nomad program. And I'll explain what that is. That is a special legal permit allowing remote workers, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to live and work in Jamaica while employed by a company or clients anywhere in the world. Every year, 4 million tourists visit Jamaica. We have the brand, we have the climate, we have the culture. And we also have the connectivity infrastructure that those remote workers are looking for. What we do not have as yet is a structured program that allows them to stay longer, to work from here and spend their money right here in Jamaica. So we have looked at the case studies across the region. Barbados started it. There are about 6 Caribbean countries that have implemented it. And we are proposing a fee of $2,000 for a 12-month period. And we have estimated of the 4 million tourists that we would be able to get 5,000 of these digital nomads coming to stay in Jamaica in the first year. That would generate in the fees alone approximately $1.5 billion. But the fees only tell part of the story. The real story is when they come here, when they stay here, the restaurants, the Airbnbs, the hotels, the villas, the concerts, the food that they spend. That is the impact. Barbados estimates that each digital nomad spends on average $55,000 when they're there in Barbados.
Per year.
Yes, 55,000 US, right? I wouldn't be as optimistic as that. But if I estimate that in Jamaica, an average 6-month stay could yield a spend of 25,000 US, which is about $4,000 a month. Jamaica could realize the economic benefit of 125 million US dollars or 19.5 billion Jamaican dollars.
Wow.
Now, we are late to the game. Barbados did it immediately after COVID and took first mover advantage. But we do have many advantages which other countries in the region don't have. And a structured program can yield significant benefits to the people of Jamaica.
So that was one of the plans brought forward by Julian Robinson. So, as expected, I told Richie B this morning that the opposition leader will double down on some of the plans put forward by Julian. Conrad O'Brien, good evening.
Hi, Colin Bell. How are you doing? Good afternoon to you and your listeners and viewers. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. 3 hours and what? 3 hours and about 15 minutes, Mark Wolin.
Indeed. About 3 hours and 15 minutes of, at what is clearly must be described as a teaching moment, Colin. The man, basically, opposition leader, Mark Jefferson Golden, Marky G, certainly, Colin, hit all the points. And, Colin, I'll say this to you. Maybe people would say that, listen, boy, Colin and Conrad basically sit in on the deliberation with Mark Golden. Of course we didn't. But what happened? We are thinking people, and we understand that certainly had Mark Jefferson Golden, Marky G, went into George William Garden House and Duke Street this afternoon and did anything less, certainly he would not worth his salt, and his presentation would not have even deserved the paper that it's written in. He had to deliver as he did today, and he did it with a plum.
Anything you expected to hear that you did not hear, Obi?
Colin, I must say no. I think he had, in my book, he had basically strike all the notes. He had check all the boxes. I wouldn't even venture to nitpick as to any maybe a little minute thing here or there, because his thing was so comprehensive, Colin. And while he highlighted all the ills of the government, right? The decadent of the government, right? He hit all the points. He went for the juggler with Finsack. He did everything. He talked about the National Housing Trust. He talked about the mismanagement, poor management of the government. He talked about our pensioners. He talked about our workers. He talked about, our measures as to how to bring in additional revenue without putting the country and its people under burden and so on. So it was just so comprehensive. He checked all the boxes in my view, Colin. So my short answer to that is no. I think he was extremely comprehensive.
What about his persona? His tone?
All right. Okay, all right, Colin. For those of us who, exposed to debate, one of the things that we check, we normally look at demeanor, tone, tenure, and so on. Apart from the entire the wording, the wording of the presentation, and certainly his tone was quite there. He knew when it was important to up the ante. He knew when to talk in a soft tone. He hit all the punchline, and of course, Colin, I'll tell you that. Believe me, I think I can score the opposition leader almost at the PM, because certainly what he delivered this afternoon absolutely shows, in my opinion, who should have been in Jamaica House today. And I believe that the people of Jamaica must be licking their wounds right now to say, oh my God, how come we did not give such a brilliant, such a fertile mind, such a worker, such a comprehensive human being the job of Prime Minister? Can you imagine the place that we would be in today, Colin, with the rebuilding process and so on? Where would we be had we allowed Marky G and his People's National Party to basically lead this country? So, as it relates to his tone, Colin, and his mannerism, everything, I think he was on point. He again hit the ball out of the park. This man, Colin, was 5 years plus ago, who was virtually unknown to the Jamaican people, right? Politically, because not because he had not done steady and great work for Jamaica, but just the fact that he was not out there in the cut and thrust of the politics, as it were. A number of people weren't aware of him. Colin, he is indeed a great find, and he showed once again that certainly he is among the greats when the history of Jamaican politics is written.
What impressed you the most?
All right. What impressed me the most is that he actually chronicled everything. So he started out by virtue of giving thanks, admire, adore all those persons who had played their role to basically have him where he is and give him the opportunity to present today. Then he went in, he highlighted the fact that, the country is at a place at this time struggling, and certainly we have to find additional ways in order to come out of this rather than taxing our way and so on. Another impressive part, Colin, is his growth agenda, how he basically highlighted, itemized things that he believed could put in place to basically move the Jamaican economy forward. And so all in all, Colin, his presentation, I must say that for me to pick out any one thing that impressed me the most, I will be a little bit hard pressed, because there was just so many things that when you score them, from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, there were so many 10 points that Mark Golden hit this evening. So all in all, Colin, there was just a litany of things that had basically jumped out at me and impressed me in a big way. Most of all, Colin, if I'm to say that, to come up with it in a nutshell, what impressed me most of all is just how dynamic a presenter Mark has grown into, and how he actually was able to speak with the level of clarity, and certainly weren't a lot of fluff, just credible information coming forward. He wasn't in a quarrelsome mode. He was just highlighting the waywardness of the government, and after doing that, he basically responded by schooling and giving alternative measures, Colin. And he, all in all, it was just a gem of a presentation.
If you're just joining us, this is the Colin Bell Show. We are live on Caribbean Radio 97.9 HD4, and we are expanding. We are the radio station that covers the widest section of Florida as one radio station. We are now in Philadelphia. We are in New York. So we just want to welcome everybody this evening to the Colin Bell Show as we broadcast live from the studios of PortlandspiceTV. We're talking to Conrad O'Brien, and we are expected to be joined by Ralston Iman, the top economist or the top financial analyst in Jamaica. Will be joining us shortly. Conrad, I expected to be here to hear a little more about governance. Did you hear enough about governance itself?
All right. He highlighted many points in government. So in terms of showing the weaknesses, he went for corruption, and he actually went after the Prime Minister in a big way in stating the ills of what caused us to be where we are, not seeing good governance. He also talked about the values and attitude program that was basically, attempted by a PJ Patterson, and he now talks about reintroducing that, but certainly say that government should not administer that, politicians should not administer. Those were clear governance issues that he talked about. However, he did not roll them to say, listen, the government would do this or the government would do that. But all of those actually dovetail into governance positions, because if you get those going, then certainly what you would have would be a lesson of corruption and a strengthening in governance framework. So while maybe he could have basically gone a little further, but I think that he did enough. And had he decided to go deeper, Colin, he could be there for about 5 hours. I think one of the things that, and I must highlight this, one of the things clearly that you can see that Jefferson Golden, Marky G, and his handler did. They carefully crafted this presentation. They want to hit all the points, but they did want him to be there 5-6 hours and become monotonous and boring, like what we saw from the Prime Minister, the last presentation that he made in the Parliament, where he stood there for maybe about 6 hours, basically talking a lot of fluff and nothing. He also, the whole business of the National Housing Trust, that was also a biggie in terms of how the governance framework should basically manage there, so the people of Jamaica get the benefit rather than the government basically continue to, be betrayal to their own pledge that they gave to the government, to the people of Jamaica. And I am sort of going over stuff, Colin, again. But FinSAC, I think he went there head on when he said, listen, that which we highlighted, about $150 million of taxpayers' money were spent for that. That was a signature part of the Jamaica Labour Party campaign.
Release the report.
Right? And he said, release the report and shut up in prudent terms. That's what he's saying. And I believe, as I said to Marlon Morgan today when he called in on my program and tried to defend when I made the point in my opening commentary, say I expect to hear Mark Golding on it today. And he come and him talk all sorts of things and saying that this was the PNP did whatever. We're not talking about what the PNP did. We're saying that the Jamaica Labour Party campaign across the length and breadth of Jamaica that they would release the FinSac report. It's now going, 11 years on after $150 million spent, and we still not have the FinSac report. Release it. Release it.
Yeah, Marshy, we hear you. Go ahead, Marshy.
Yes, sir. Evening.
Good evening and welcome.
Yeah.
Good evening, Marshy.
Yes, sir. I was one of them who did want to hear a little more from country and governance too. I agree with you on that. But at the same time, Mark has said a lot. He has said a lot, and what Mark had done to Andrew Wallace now is put Andrew Wallace in a position to come and do him regular thing when him come Thursday.
What is this
because
regular
he's
thing?
coming to like, his regular thing is to come and tell a whole heap of lies. And I can tell you, we're going to hear lie on Thursday. If you think we hear lie yet, we're going to hear more lie on Thursday.
Sir,
One of the
David,
things
good
I did
evening.
want, I missed that.
No, man, go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that I was expecting, I did want to hear more about the hedge. I did want to hear because the JLP now is going to come and tell us a lot about price increase. I want to hear what about the hedge, because if the hedge was around, we would get a relief from certain things.
We'd be smiling now.
Yes, we would be smiling. And I did want to hear more of that, and I wonder why we don't hear anything on that. I don't know if he's leaving it for something else or some other time, you know. But we need to hear from that, because I am saying to Marky G and the PNP right now, plan a place. Are you going to pay for some broadcast to respond to the Prime Minister? Because you know him last going to talk and
his favor last going to talk.
Yes, yeah, but remember, we don't fool. Favor, you know, when you not disrespectful to her. She last I got talk really. But we know that Olin. We expect Olin to come for 6 hours tomorrow, you know. Because he might go say everything.
No, Julian told him no bother with it. Him say 4.5 hours.
You know,
we know that is good. Because, you know, he's a great demagogue, you know. The Prime Minister is a very great demagogue.
Yeah.
I don't know if he talk a lot of things and things. But
you know,
I think Mark has really put out some things and show them downfall and all of them things that, you know. It's because the government is really weak. But something that I noticed when Mark Golding was saying thanks to the Cuban government and the Cuban for what they did for us over the year, and I noticed the PNP were beating the decks. I noticed that the JLP never beat their decks.
Yeah. You saw that,
Obi?
Yes, I saw it. But listen, I remember.
Hold on, Obi. At the time, I was not watching. I was listening at the time, because at the time I head into the bathroom to get myself ready for the show. So I was listening. So I wasn't watching.
Yeah, the JLP never beat their decks. Never beat their decks at that point when he said thanks to the Cuban government and people. They never. But we remember the JLP behavior to the Cuban government and its people back in the 80s, you know, when Estrada was persona non grata, and when Mr. Seaga come, him send home some of them people, the Cuban people, them are ready to, you know. So it's not anything new. The JLP is not really a friend of Cuba, you know. They're not really a friend of Cuba.
But how can you not be a friend of somebody who have helped you numerous times?
Colin.
If you're ungrateful, you're just ungrateful. What's their behavior towards Venezuela? You know, say, well, let's come out, take away Venezuela money, bad money off. And take away Venezuela money.
Go ahead, Obi.
Yeah, man. Well, Colin, Martha, basically you use the word. The ungratefulness is a major thing. And Colin, it is clear that the Jamaica Labour Party still don't see Cuba as an ally of us here in Jamaica, and it's just basically a level of opportunism. They were just going for the ride, but as soon as things come up, they were not prepared to basically defend and stand up for the Cubans. And there's something that Mark Golden actually pointed out, which is a point to be noted, that even if you're at a point, because we know that they came under pressure, but they are trying to deny it, right?
But
so
wouldn't it be easier to admit that they were pressured into the decision?
At least they would have something, but to basically lean on. But I tell you something, what Mark said, and it is something that we have been saying, Colin, that even if you're going to basically discontinue with the arrangement, you know what you're working with. You just cut it so the people turn up who were supposed to have eye surgery.
And
they're
that's
not
why,
have it done.
that's why I said to you the other morning, what if they were given an ultimatum?
Well, I don't know, but whatever it is, Colin, because we talk about the eye care program and the clinic that they man, that the Cubans man, but there is a major elephant in the room, Colin, the oncology center that they deal with, which is cancer. That is major. We heard from all the hospitals that saying that, listen, they are worse off now without the presence of the Cuban. And we must know that there are countries in the world who have the similar program like us, and they are doubling down and saying to the United States, no way, because this program by the Cubans are important to our people, to their people. So maybe they're in a stronger position. For example, Italy is a G7 country, so they are able to basically, stand up and defend their thing. But they said in no uncertain manner that no, they're not going to capitulate to the United States and basically send home the Cubans while their people suffer.
The teacher is in class, Obi. Let's join him. Ralston.
Yeah, man, blessed. Obi.
Hey, Raleigh. Bless you, man, brother. Bless you. Raleigh?
Yeah, man.
Before you start, Colin, with your permission, I must say for the first time this afternoon, Raleigh, I was able to basically catch a little of your new afternoon schedule program. And as usual, you deliver. Raleigh is Raleigh. Yeah, you're a teacher. You're just the finest.
I second that,
Well,
Obi.
I also catch him for the first time today. So, for those who are not aware, Ralston Hyman is now on RGR 94.1.5.3.7.9 at 12:30 to 1, Raleigh.
Yeah, man.
So Colin, if I may, just a shameless plug here. So here's the thing now. When you finish listening to the Fireman and Sleek Radio at 12 o'clock, you can just head on over to and listen to
Not a problem.
Yeah, man.
All right, so hold on, Marshall, hold on. We just introduce Ralston, so let him give us his take on the leader of opposition presentation in the parliament today.
Comprehensive, man. Covered all the bases that needed to be covered. Very comprehensive. Yep.
Indeed.
And what are your views on the tax policies that he presented?
Yeah, those are things that we need to see.
So why the government can't take these and run with them?
Because them arrogant and them dumb.
All right, Marshall, wrap up your final point.
Yes, well, the national anthem said to give us vision, lest we perish.
Right.
I know God give vision, but I wonder if God partial that he don't give the GLP any vision, because they have none as far as I can really see. But before I go, Kamina Johnson said something last week, and we shouldn't allow her to get away with it, because she was saying we never come under any from the U.S. concerning the Cuban doctors going home. And then other people in the party said they never want to irritate the US. So Kamina Johnson was lying, as she had done regular. Yeah. So
right.
they need to come better. But before the lastly, what is going to happen when the American now tell Andrew Holness to get rid of the Chinese?
Well, that's going to be a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a major problem. Remember, China is not Cuba. I remember every time the president of the United States speaks, he always said, boy, I respect President Xi. We have a good relationship. Yep. So every time him talk about China, him always preface it by saying that I respect President Xi. We have a good relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ralston, the opposition leader spoke about a number of initiatives that the PNP would have put in place. $1 billion for people with disability, $1 billion for the creative industry, $1 billion for some other program. How would he pay for those?
The revised values and attitude program that will be allowed to carry through by the churches and faith-based organizations.
How would he pay for those?
Well, I think Julian Robinson already made that clear that they will be seeking to get some taxes from those who are not paying. That would amount to $8 billion. And that borrowing another $10 billion would do no violence to the debt to GDP ratio. $10 billion is a quarter of 1% of GDP. Simple.
And outside of that, Raleigh, Mark Golden doubled down today, and I'm not able to itemize them just now, Colin, but you may have them written down. Mark actually went further today, Raleigh. He gave additional revenue measures that would rake in additional billions of dollars on top of what Julian basically proposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raleigh, in terms of the present tax policies and tax situation that we have, how instrumental was Mark Golden in framing those back in 2012 to 2016?
Well, as we all know, what happened between 2007 and 2012. So we all know why we had to do the taxes that we did between 2013 and 2016, because the country was bankrupt and locked out of the international capital market. Debt to GDP ratio was almost 150%. So we had to have new tax measures in order to reduce those deficits and to get back in good stead with the international community.
So for the first time, we hear the PNP really talking about that time and really driving it home. Julian spoke extensively about it. Mark Golden did mention that the economy was collapsed.
Yeah, man. The system, they crashed the economy. They got a good economy in 2007. And they after promising to grow the economy, just the same 5% that they spoke about in 2016. They made the same promise in 2007. And instead of doing that, they crashed the economy. And it's important that we remind the people about this, because it's a similar situation is taking place internationally. We're on the verge of a great stagflation or a great recession internationally because of the crisis between the USA, the Israelis, and the Iranians. The Israelis, they assassinated Ari Larijani today on Golan, Soleimani. Yeah, and that is going to lead to an escalation of the crisis. The British benchmark crude North Sea blend traded at $103 today, and the American benchmark traded at $96 because everybody see that the crisis is going to escalate. So we're going to see accelerating inflation, higher interest rates, and a slowdown in the global economy and more unemployment. Just to remind our people, 92,000 Americans lost their jobs last month. Yeah. So the international economy is deteriorating because of the war. It took another giant step today with the assassination of those two top Iranian leaders. So we're on the verge of another great recession. The first one started again when George Bush went into Iraq. the JLP administration mismanaged that crisis and got us locked out of the international capital market. So they have no leg to stand on when we're talking about economics and relationship with the IMF. Peter Phillipson, Portia Simpson Miller, Mark Golding had to restore Jamaica's credibility in the international capital markets in 2013. So you have far more experience there in terms of economic management. This new thing that they're trying to push to the young people as if they are great economic managers, they don't know nothing about economics.
Absolute rally. And again, Mark Golden, Colin, drove home the point this afternoon. And it was quite important to explain, to go take the time out and explain the situation as it relates to the housing trust and remind Jamaica that this was done legislatively. And it was a time frame, a definite time frame that had signed off on it, and actually Holness, when he was opposition leader, criticized and said that they would ring fence the National Housing Trust, so no government, to include his or any other, could basically take the money from the housing trust. And I'm happy that Mark did that. Another thing, Raleigh, that the Jamaica Labour Party continue to use as a major whip when it suits them is the FinSac. And indeed, this morning in my opening commentary, I went there and I was quite delighted to hear Mark Golden drove the point home this afternoon to say that they must present the IMF report or shut up.
Obi, Raleigh, I want to talk to you a little bit about the bank meltdown of the 90s. Because one of the problems is a lack of understanding. People love to talk about FinSac. And when they talk about FinSac, they totally discard what caused FinSac. What really, talk to us a little bit about the bank situation in the 90s, Raleigh. What really caused the FinSac debacle?
All right. Most of the people we are talking about FinSac now, including the Prime Minister, they had very little experience about those things. Yeah. So one of the things that they're trying to do now is the kind of muzzling that they're trying to muzzle me. Yeah. But I was the man who was shadowing Omar Davies at that time. Yeah. Omar Davies and I weren't friends at that time. I was the one who was shadowing closely. A lot of these people weren't around, or if they were around, they were afraid to challenge him. Right? So how this thing started?
And hold on. By saying you were the man who used to shadow Omar Davis.
Yeah.
Ralston means that he was the man who criticized Omar Davis the most.
Yep. Most of these people
who was out there putting the figures forward, talking about the high interest rate. Go ahead, Raleigh.
Yeah. Most of these people we are talking, Andrew Holness, Richard Biles, all those people we see prominent now. None of them could have been saying anything to Omar Davies at that time. None of them. You see going on like them powerful now. None. I was the only one who was taking on Omar Davies. So here up now. Jamaica had an arrangement with the IMF, with the JLP. The JLP has never successfully concluded an IMF agreement yet. Never, ever. Right? So when the government changed in 2008, they started the liberalization process. We were running massive trade deficits at that time, massive fiscal deficits. When the government changed in 1989, the debt to GDP ratio was 262%. Follow that?
Yes.
262%. There was a breakdown in the IMF agreement. One of the conditions of re-engaging with the IMF at that time was to carry through the liberalization process. Hold
on. You said there was a breakdown with the IMF in 1989?
Yeah, man. Saga called for the fresh look mission.
So hold on. So you're saying to us that in 2011, when we were expelled from the IMF, that wasn't the first GLP breakdown with the IMF?
No, they have never successfully completed an IMF agreement yet. Never, ever completed an IMF agreement successfully. And I challenge any of them to challenge that. So when we re-engaged with the IMF, part of the conditionalities was to carry out the liberalization process because they had a bogus auction. 550 and the IMF had a problem with the bogus auction. Yeah. Yep. So when they lost the thing in February 2 of 1989, the people at the IMF and the IDB and the multilateral agencies said that part of the condition of the re-engagement must be to carry out the liberalization process. Mr. Seaga went over to the Bank of Jamaica when he lost office and told the people at the Bank of Jamaica that the exchange rate have a bust. You follow me?
So why would he have done that?
Well, economic sabotage.
What?
But that wouldn't be anything new. Look at what happened during the entire 80s. That wouldn't be anything new. Yeah. So
Seaga went to the state and tell people not to invest in Jamaica.
Yeah, man. So that's not nothing new. So don't be surprised about that. So that is how the thing started. So in September of 1990, at that time, PJ Patterson was the finance minister. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Michael Manley came to the country and said, boy, we have to cross the Rubicon. We have to liberalize the foreign exchange markets. When the thing was liberalized, the exchange rate moved from 7 to 21. The Banking Act was never upgraded at that time. All those things, Omar Davies fixed all them problems. All of them blame him for everything. Yeah. So by the time Omar Davies took office in 1992 as finance minister, inflation was running at 80% and all of those things, right? And we, as we said before, no, there was no foreign exchange in the thing. The net international reserve was minus 500 million. So you them talk about NIR now, I'm able to tell the NIR 6.7 billion. When Omar took over, the NIR was minus 500 million. 500 million at the whole. You don't have no NIR, right?
Yes.
So what we saw was an aggressive movement on the dollar, and they had to jack up the interest rates. As we said, the banking legislation, the Banking Act was never upgraded. So any man could just get up and form a bank. So we had banks, building societies, dime a dozen across the country at that time.
And insurance companies and all of that.
Yeah, all of that, precisely.
Talk to us, yes.
Precisely, all of that, dime a dozen, we had them, right? So
Crazy
when
amount of banks.
Precisely. So
Name
when
some of them for us.
Well, so let us say, so as we go on now with the liberalization process, what we saw was, as we said, anybody farm bank and everything, so we had this problem. So in 1994, there was the first one was Blaze Trust and Merchant Bank. That was the first one who had some problems. Yeah. So
hold on. Petro is saying that inflation at 80%. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Inflation was at 80%.
Yeah, man. So Omar Davies had to apply what we call sharp shock, jack up the interest rates in order to contain inflation, because that's the logical move you have when inflation accelerates. And you'll see that happen now that the oil price and inflation accelerate globally. Central banks are going to jack up interest rates. Them did it in COVID-19 and them did it in relation to the war between Russia and Ukraine, because that's a tool that the central bank has. So what happened now is that there's also this thing called evergreening. Yeah. So people within the private sector, they would use the same collateral at several different banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like me, I go use my house to get a loan. Me use it at NCB, and then me go down to Scotia, I go use the same house.
Including people.
And I use the same house.
Including people who are in parliament right now.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Including people who are in parliament now, presently.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So it started, as we said, with Blaze Trust and Merchant Bank. That is how Patrick Hilton got prominent, because Patrick Hilton used to work at Blaze Trust and Merchant Bank. Yeah. He was one of the man who blew the whistle on what was taking place. Follow me?
Talk to me.
All right.
Yes.
So that went down. Then in July of 1996, there was Central National Bank, which was led by Don Crawford, which went down again with another $6 billion in taxpayers' money. Because what happened is that when
that was the one that the former Prime Minister and JLP leader borrowed $30 million US from, which would amount to how much billion today.
That's correct, right? Then we had the Eagle Group, yeah, which also
Paul Cheng Young.
Yeah, man, $14 billion for the people of Jamaica. Then
that's where I work with that financial institution. That's where I work.
Yeah, then we have the corporate group with Delroy Lindsay. So it's the Guardian building and all those places. Yeah.
Yes.
So one thing that we saw is that when you put your money in the banks, they have different deposits. We have what we call demand deposits. That means that if I put down my money now, I'm turn my back and come back, I'm supposed to can get my money at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. Fixed deposits where you say, all right, 6 months, this, that. So what we saw was things that we call edifice complex. Everybody want to build a big building and a big headquarters and those things.
Yeah.
So they tied up depositors' money into these buildings, and when the people them come, them can't get back their money. When they run out of money, them go to the Bank of Jamaica and borrow money from borrow money from the Bank of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Follow me? So that is the thing that caused the crisis. Liberalization of the foreign exchange market, high levels of inflation, their interest rate regime, and the poor practices of those, or the corrupt practices of those who were running the financial sector at that particular point in time.
Workers Bank with the Lindsay Raleigh, remember that one?
Yeah, man.
Let's change them name to the corporate group, you remember? Yeah, and then build this big edifice complex with the Guardian building.
But Rasta, how can a bank lend a man 30 million US and the bank don't follow up with the payments?
Because the bank and the man friendly. Simple.
So that was nepotism.
Then remember, the client was the Prime Minister and the bank close to the Prime Minister.
So how we never hear anybody yet talk about what causes FinSac? So all of that up now, Ralston, the government should have just sat aside and do nothing?
No, because the entire system would have crashed and people would have lost their savings. Because of the intervention, nobody lost them savings. And again, we're talking about crisis now with Melissa. We got we got we sought no international. Davis never seek any international assistance to deal with the financial sector problem. You never run to the World Bank, I've never run to the IMF and all of those places.
Was all local money?
It was all local money. So it cost the taxpayers of this country $140 billion. So FinSac was created in 1997. The first head of FinSac was a man named Dr. Gladstone Bonnick. Dr. Bonnick. The teacher. So the job of FinSac was to take the bad assets and the bad loans from the financial sector, sell what them can sell and see what them can get back. After them do all of that, the net effect is that the taxpayers have to foot $140 billion or 40% of GDP.
And that $140 billion included 30 million US of
30 million
borrowing by the former Prime Minister. 30 million US of borrowing by the former Prime Minister Edward Seaga that the taxpayers had to pay back.
Yeah, man, there are other sums borrowed by people who are still in Parliament on that side. That is why I can't. That is why I can't. That's why I can't.
It's no longer in the Parliament in a rally. How would that know?
Well, yeah, more. That's why I can't get the FinSac report. I'll never get a FinSac report.
So, hold on. Let me get this clear for my listeners. Ralston Iman is telling us that there are still people sitting in Jamaica's House of Representatives who was bailed out by FinSac.
Yeah, man.
And that is why why Senator Marlon Morgan, who is the parliamentary secretary in information and education, came on my program this morning very, very loud and so on, because when I did my opening commentary and went at the heart of the matter with FinSac demanding that the report be published and so on, he came on and I had to remind him that one man who got $30 million that was not paid back was Mr. Seaga. You know, so this is something, as Raleigh rightly said, that we will never get a FinSac report under the Jamaica Labour Party, because they know exactly what is there and what the report is saying. It's embarrassing. It is indeed very, very embarrassing. So we get a report.
With all the respect in the world, Obi, Marlon has no competence to talk about FinSac. Marlon was a little baby with FinSac. Absolutely. No competence to talk about FinSac.
All right, gentlemen, I have a caller holding. Hold on. Neville.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Go ahead, Neville.
Hi, Neville.
I must tell you, that you're absent from the radio station in the morning has created a vacuum all over the world.
Yeah, man, we know that.
That needs to be filled. And last time, I think it's time for you now to serve in the Senate of Jamaica to help the people in this World War III. Okay?
All right, sir. Yeah, man, I hear you.
Yeah, you put the politics aside. You're doing it for your country. Because when you are alone, you can walk the talk. And we're out here to walk with you.
Yeah.
And somebody have to put him in the Senate and him can't
Precisely. Can't put the Senate in there.
Two people have that. Something now. But Colin.
Yes, never.
Jamaica is plagued by the 4 horsemen: organized politics, organized crime, organized religion, and organized gambling.
Wow.
And when I hear Mark Golden talk about this toxic bitter medicine budget,
yes,
it's telling me that time for the Jamaican people, girlfriend and boyfriend, husband and wife, side chick and everybody else, to put them house in order.
Yeah.
Because you need a social integration now within the families and friendship in order to fight the struggle that coming. Because we are being exploited in order for some people to live their best life.
Bad exploitation, bro.
Don't make never leave it. Don't make never leave it. I want to put something to it.
And they're just giving the people enough rope to harm themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Hold
on, never. I don't know. You're not sounding clear. You having a headset?
No headset at all.
Speakerphone? You have the phone on
no
speaker?
Speaker at all.
You're not sounding so clear like you normally sound.
But let me just wrap up with this.
Yeah.
The man who resigned from Donald Trump cabinet today. You hear the resignation letter that he write?
Yeah, man, Joe Kent. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, a pure deception of one.
Yeah, I'm saying can't sit down with that.
And when you have one cockroach, you have more than, when you say one cockroach, more than it.
All right, sir.
No, don't make him go yet, Colin.
All the best team in the world.
Don't move, Neville. Obi wants
yeah, man, I Neville. Yeah.
Go ahead, Obi.
Yes.
Neville.
Yes, Obi.
How you do? All right. It is clear that you interface with a lot of people and so on. One of the things that we can't shy away from, change on decision. The greatest avenue to do that, or the power is vested in, is through politics. We have seen this administration as the wicked for 10 years going. In your deliberation, have you educated the people and so on to say, listen, don't say that I saw the whole of them stay, but I lied to them that, listen, there's indeed a better way and they must get involved in the process. Have you done that?
Every day I'm in the grassroots.
All right, thanks.
Right now I'm in a place them Big City doing some work with some boys.
All right, Neville, respect and thanks.
Respect every time, man.
Look here, you see this politics thing?
Yeah.
This is not the politics that they teach at the university. This is some make-up politics that is going on in Jamaica.
All right, my boss.
Because it's not the PNP or the JLP that run government. The Constitution don't recognize political party.
None at all.
That is true.
So when you have government, you talk about independent mind who is done by yourself.
All right, sir. All right, respect.
All the best to you, man. Food basket never empty.
All right.
One love. Man, so watch your weight.
Cool.
I realize I'm even talking. Caller, good evening. Welcome to the Colin Bell Show. We're talking to Ralston Hyman, top economist in Jamaica, the #1 financial analyst. And we have also Conrad O'Brien on the line. This is the Colin Bell Show. We're live on Caribbean Radio, 97.9 HD4, Bro Geary Radio. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good night to all of the panel.
Yeah.
My question, it's not even a question. I just call this Sir Bell to apologize to Mr. Hyman. right? And I'm glad I get him today that I can apologize to him because you see, back in the days, but I think in the 90s or so,
Yeah.
when we there at Jamaica, and when Mr. Ayman used to give economic and thing, when I tell him as a little labor right, you know, till we pick up and she says a man that speak the truth.
Can used to slap up Omar Davis wicked.
All right. So we used to have him as a little shower man. Seeing comes from man, seeing some gradually by listening and listening over the years and years, we say he must speak the truth and things. So I just call him to apologize to him and say, boy, I respect him and give the details and everything.
He's a patriot. Right? Thank you.
All right, all right, sir. Blessings.
So
Give time.
that's my 2 cents right now.
No, no, apology accepted. All right, blessings.
Eh? The producer said I call her to give him goose pimple. No, but it's from them time they may have follow Ralston, but one of the things where you have to understand with Ralston and what I picked up from those days was the numbers.
Yeah, man.
The numbers. What them say? Liars figures, but figures never lie.
Yeah, man. If you know how to deal with the data, you have a problem. And this is one problem that this administration have. Their decisions are not data driven. Yeah? And if you know how to do that, you have a problem.
Ralston, a lot of people said FinSac caused a lot of misery. People even taking their own lives because of FinSac. What caused that aspect of it? Well,
I mean, if the economy is having problems and if people are foreclosing on their loans, then people are going to have problems. One thing that the people have not understand is the whole thing about compounding. So when you owe the bank and you're supposed to pay the bank $10 this month, and you don't pay the $10 this month, the interest that you are going to be paying after that will be compounded. So if you were to pay 5% on 100,000 and you gone 200,000 now, you have to pay 5% on 200,000, 5% on 300,000, 5% on this and that. So every month when you don't pay and don't service your loan, you are getting into a deeper problem, and that is what many of the people. Some of them, the interest rate jumped because they're jacking up of the interest rates. So to contain inflation was a problem, and that is why I was pressuring Omar after a while and said back off of the interest rate regime, because you can't keep the sharp shock for too long, because that was his major error in relation to that. He kept their interest rate regime for too long. That was the problem.
So because of the compounding of the loan, people not able to service their loans.
Precisely.
Then some interest rates start go, because a man say him did 50 million and when him go some boom him 100 million.
Correct. So 2 reasons cause that: the jacking up of the interest rates and the not servicing the loan on time. People must know when you don't service your loan on time, you are going to get into a problem, because the thing of a compound. Compounding is the problem.
I think Omar told me that about 500,000 persons, depositors, got back every cent.
Yeah, man. Everybody get back their money. That is why it costs the taxpayers so much. Everybody got back their money.
So all depositors got back their money. But what about people now who had loans with those banks?
Yeah, well, some of them went bust. Their businesses went bust because the bank went bust. They never serviced their loans on time. Some of them, the loans, as you said, you borrow $10 and it moved to $20 and $30 because of the high interest rate regime and the compounding. So part was the macro problem in terms of the high interest rate regime. And there were people who were not servicing their loans on time.
So why nobody went to jail or prison?
Well, the man in the runway. The man who called them in the runway.
And nobody speaks about that. Why we never hear Andrew Wellness asking about that?
Well, good question. Because I serve him politically. Most of them on the runway.
Why you think
dead are foreign?
Why you think the FinSac report was never released, Ralston?
Because it would show that a whole lot of people on that particular side would be involved.
Obi, why you think it wasn't released? We lose Obi? All right, we have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Raleigh. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My 2% is, first and foremost, Mr. Ralston should be the Bank of Jamaica governor. One.
Boy, I
Yes,
love my friend. Would I love my friend turn governor of the Bank of Jamaica? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I just trying to that platform of the finance and whatever.
Yeah.
And he know it like that.
Mm.
The next thing, did you see the 3-card game in the parliament since there?
The 3-card game, tell me about it.
All right, the people them come out of parliament, but I look on the labor right side, it's empty. Because it seems to me, I don't know, because I never got parliament. Like when Marky G, I got touch something, the person fear partner in come out.
I wasn't focused on that.
Me sit down, me make sure sit down and watch it. I mean, I drink 2 nice beer. I prepare feet. I mean, watch them.
Yes.
And one time when Marky G licked them, Desmond Mackenzie, I beat on the decks. Right? And it part when Marky G start about the Cuban, none of them don't react. And when Marky G said congratulations to them and thank them, we sit down and watch them. When Marky G I lick the pint them, Tufton and the rest of them come out. One time, Andrew Wheat, he couldn't eat, he go on the back. Yeah, watch them. Right? And when you look, but when Andrew Wallace him, oh, God, he say, no, he say, oh boy, we watch him out, you know. But when Marky G slap him in Google, he say, oh boy, watch it play.
Yeah, man, I always watch them more than one time, you know.
Yeah, man. He say, oh boy, that's all he could have whisper, but in mouth, because I'm a security, you know, I watch body language. You know.
Aye.
I watch him, and he say, oh boy, I slap him hard, you know. And me now up the line. Next thing, I want to say congratulations to Mark Golden for a good presentation, facts, and things where we tell we can, and you know, we talk, talk, how it can be done, where the capital will come from, and to fix the problem. So, Jamaican people who take the 5,000, the KFC, and this, you know, see where we don't miss out on, and now we have to panda over by 1 pound of chicken back. You know, see? So I want to take this beyond lesson and be ready for the next election.
Hold on.
And that.
Oh Lord, sorry, caller. My bad. I disconnected the caller. Raleigh and Obi, I wanted to ask you. Mark Golden spoke about the large countries who emission has really affected climate change, and that Jamaica should take the lead in taking this to court, that those people pay for what happened to Jamaica. Your views on that, Raleigh?
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd have to have a different foreign policy to do that. Yeah, you'd have to have a more non-aligned. What happened now is that Jamaica aligned itself with one of the major polluters in the world, and Jamaica is afraid of the president of that country. So you know, get that from Jamaica. Simple.
So what Marky G is putting forward will not happen, you are saying?
No, not under the current dispensation.
Obi?
Absolutely, Colin. You see, what happened is that Mark Golden, once again, what he was doing was really throwing up very creative ideas and thinking out of the box, because that in itself that he proposes, right, if Jamaica should carry through, then certainly we would benefit from it in a big way. But as Raleigh said, we're not going to see these things under this administration. We're not going to see it based on the alignment. Similarly to how we see no level of strength was shown in terms of basically defending the Cuban people, even if we're going to step away, but no strength was shown. They just capitulate, and just to close out this point, it's a little bit nuanced. However, I think and this is what is coming to me from a lot of persons texting me, not just now, Colin, saying that, and no less a person than Head Boy also sent it to me. He said that what happened is that Mark Golden has basically distinguished himself this afternoon once again as the undisputed leader and the maximum leader of the People's National Party right now, and he shows all the mettle as to why he should be Prime Minister of Jamaica, because he's just a solid pair of hands.
But Ralston, I think Mark said, which one of the rating company again he was?
What say you on that, Raleigh?
Sorry?
I said, what say you on that? That comments that I'm saying that a number of persons are basically echoing.
But that's been demonstrated over and over again. It's just that the Jamaican people are not very ambitious.
Yeah, right. He was quoting from one of the ratings agency and one of the accounting firm that they did a study on Jamaica, and that Jamaica tax leakage is over $200 billion annually. Yeah, man.
That's a serious problem. Because of the informality of how the economy is run,
40% of the economy is informal?
Informal, yeah, man.
So why is it that we are reluctant then to collect the taxes out there? Julian spoke to $8.6 billion just to do one thing and was very conservative. How do you think then this looks now that the government is adding $18 billion worth of taxes to the budget instead of collecting from the people who are not paying?
That is why many people are against it, because you are going to the same people to collect more, and that is going to depress the economy. While there's more outside of the people we are collecting from, what we need to do is to broaden the network so that we can collect more from those who are not paying rather than going back to those who are paying. Because when you do that, you reduce the amount of money that those who are paying have to spend. We call it disposable income when we get very technical in the economics field.
Yeah.
So that is, taxes in an economy will represent leakages, right? So in other words, if you continue to take taxes from the same people, you reduce the amount of money that they have to spend, and you reduce aggregate demand and the extent to which the economy can grow. When you go to those who are not paid and who are outside of the system, and you collect this money and spend it on the country's capital stock, that is how you get growth. That is economics 101. And that is why sometimes I tell you that they don't know anything about economics. They're all just pretenders.
Bookkeeping, Mark Golden call it.
Yeah, man. That's true.
We have a call on the line. Caller, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Colin and Uncle Ralston and Mr. O'Brien and all in the chat. What a brilliant masterpiece today. Was very brilliant, Colin.
Yes.
Maybe you didn't watch all of it, but he hits on every department.
I listened to all of it. I was just in the bathroom for a time, but I listened I watched most of it, listened all of it.
Yes, and if you recall, he hit on every major department in there. He hit even, you see, especially he hit on agriculture, he hit on local government, he hit on financing, he hit healthcare, he hit on even your department that you like, the cultural department. He hit on every single thing.
Well, let me tell you one more thing. Let me tell you one more thing that I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the cost of corruption to the country, Ralston.
Well, that's about... we have data on that. That's about 5% of GDP. So I look on 170.
I wanted that to lay out in the parliament, because you see, the Jamaican people, they are not understanding that when you vote for a corrupt government, you're giving up money. Yes, he mentioned the 110 old bus for the 1.4 billion, but there are so much more that corruption are taken away from us. And I wanted a direction to be pointed to the waste and the squander that brought us to this place. Rally, you spoke about overpaying the debt when we never need to be paying that money on the debt that we could have used to build out the infrastructure, deal with housing. We didn't have to be taking that $11 million from the NHT, and NHT could have built more affordable houses, so less houses would have got damaged in the hurricane. I wanted to hear
I would have had faster economic growth,
I'm Colin.
Yeah.
Colin, let me interject a little bit there. You remember he talks about build back better?
Yes. Yes.
With every subject line and every paragraph, he emphasized build back better. And he personalized and said to Andrew Onis, you must. You did not. Those are powerful. Those are impactful things that our comrade Golden did today. And let me say something that I'm appreciative of too. His acknowledgement of the powers of the Almighty God to get him where he is, his family. He talks about women. He talks about the importance, and he used a phrase about a mother maintaining the home. That is how this government must look at. And Colin, you remember you talk about the housing?
Yes.
You remember you have been talking about building the correct housing or the zinc fence business, zinc house and the container business. Mr. Golden emphasized that, you know.
Hold on, let me tell you something. Let me tell you. I know he had all of it and him couldn't talk for the whole day. So maybe I need to just relax and say, all right.
I would appreciate it because I threw a lot on it since then.
I
digest a lot.
You have to remember the thing. You have to remember the thing about attention span. You know? He has good advisors and all those things. So we know someone will come all them hours and them are going to still attack. Yeah, but they might lose the people them because we know what happening. You know? We know what happening. Yeah. So man.
What you expect?
And Uncle Ralston Uncle Ralston did talk about alternatives. Uncle Ralston, Mr. Golden heard you because every single ministry that he hit, he gave an alternative of what should be done and what is workable and what will be a success if those are implemented. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, blessings. Yeah, man.
Go ahead, Raleigh.
No, what you were saying?
No, I was saying that maybe because I knew that everything was in the speech, maybe I need to understand that him couldn't talk for the whole evening.
Time and attention span, man. You have to understand the time.
Some things had to go.
Yeah, man.
I still give him a 9 out of 10, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I give him a 9 out of 10, but I just wanted to hear some more. And I love the start. I love how he started out. You know? Obi? If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Colin Bell Show. We are live on Caribbean Radio, 97.9 HD4, coming to you from the studios of Portland Spice TV. And remember now, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Portland Spice TV at YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and share. We're talking to Ralston Hyman, Jamaica's #1 financial analyst. There's none better than Ralston Hyman. And we're looking at Mark Golding's speech. We looked at Julian Robinson's speech. We looked at Favour Williams' speech. Ralston, what are you expecting coming from Prime Minister Andrew Holness day after tomorrow?
7 hours of whole lot of things that are irrelevant, whole lot of tracing.
Ralston, back up that little bit. 7 hours?
I say more talk, it's like how we're talking now. He'll be talking at this time, same way.
No, sir.
Whole lot of politics and whole lot of tracing and all of those things. Yep.
So you don't expect to hear any plans, any ideas, innovative ideas, so as to grow the Jamaican economy?
Well, he helped to craft the budget. He's the de facto finance minister. We never got any of that, so I don't expect anything.
Any suggestion coming from Mark Golding or Julian Robinson that he will take up?
You really believe that?
Best baby father for ideas, so I'm not afraid of taking ideas.
Well, I would sincerely hope so, but I'm not holding my breath. Yeah, it has to be criticizing everything and carrying us back, as I said, to FinSac and carrying us back to the 60s and them thing there. Yeah, and about 7-8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin.
The Prime Minister will be talking on Thursday. What are you expecting? Raleigh says 6-7 hours.
All right, just I go there, but you have been a little bit, and I know it's the Colin, your critique deep, but as I said, I believe that Mark Golden basically touched everything in his presentation. He could, and Raleigh mention, and you yourself, Colin, you understand, and that is why I even a show. You don't want to be on a show. Some people are doing 6, 7, 8 hours YouTube thing or whatever. You lose your audience by that time. You don't want to be over, say, 3 hours. And he touched all the salient points. And if you dissect the presentation, even the things that you're asking, it is in it. But he had not gone in full explanation with it. So I think he did well. However, to the question that you asked now, what do I expect from the PM? I expect a long-winded presentation from the Prime Minister, regurgitating a whole lot of things, and as I try to rebut a lot of things. I'm hopeful that he will adopt some of these ideas that have been put forward by the opposition. I know for sure as well that what is going to be the linchpin of his presentation is the flagship achievement of the People's National Party, which is the NHT. He is going to use that in order, because he has nothing, so he will have to come and use the PNP's achievement in order to as a selling point. I hope in it, however, he will now come with some real thing to say that, listen, we're really and truly going to build for the people. We're going to put concrete and steel out there. We heard from no less a person than the commander out of St. James, the chief of police in St. James, where he is saying that, listen, they are seeing an uptick in domestic violence, and he's blaming it somewhat, not in terms of hard evidence scientifically, but anecdotally on the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, where he's saying that those persons who were gainfully employed, they are now unemployed. And had the government, Colin, basically take up the ideas that yourself, Colin, I, and others posited early in the piece, which was to build back early by way of using indigenous material and so on, and get our people working.
Mark Golden gave an analogy that what was the analogy about money? The faster you use the money, something to that effect. But let me take a call. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, good night, Colin. Good night.
Blessings.
Good night, O'Brien.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of Mark Golden. It's just so how intelligent and smart he is. Because in an opening speech, he even touch about election, Andrew, that if you realize him, lick him. Because him say, the PMP is strong again, because WC 14 now, 14 to 28. And all of them on the other side know why it's all the 28.
Yeah, him say only a few on the other side know. Yes, I heard it. Him say only a few on that side know why.
Was a sharp left jab.
Yeah, man. It's true. He was very, very sharp, and also when he talked about the construction and said some in the house know
some
exactly
what
he's talking about.
Who in construction and not paying their fair share.
Yeah, man. Very, very clever. He showed a level of sharpness, indeed. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Obi, you expect that the Prime Minister or the GLP will take any of those suggestions? The nomad idea is a good one. The digital invoicing is a good one. The stopping the leak both Mark mentioned customs, he mentioned in the parish council, you need to connect the dots so that they can collect the taxes that is out there, not new taxes, not taxing poor people, but people who are generating that tax. Some people who are collecting tax from you and I and not paying it over to the government.
Absolutely, Colin, and also the whole business of the apprenticeship program that he touched and remind us that we have people here is a lack of training and all of that. I hope they will adopt all of that. I'm hoping, Colin, that Prime Minister Holness will adopt some of the suggestions that put forward, because they are workable and practical ideas that can move Jamaica forward, and we see ways that the burden can be lesser on us as taxpayers. In light of what Mr. Holden said, that he is the best baby father for taking ideas, one would expect that he will take some of these ideas. However, the fact that we know that he had said many things and renege on them, such as to say that, listen, they would publish the FinSac report, they would ring fence the housing trust, that they could not take any money, and he renege on all of those things, then certainly I am afraid that I have to go with Raleigh on this one to say, boy, Colin, I would not bet. I hope, but I would not bet, because I may just lose my money. You ready?
Let me take a call.
Yeah, man.
Marie, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Hold on,
gentlemen.
Marie. Hold on. Let me just say to my listeners and viewers, the number to call is 1-876-804-7072. That's 1-876-804. Hold on, Marie. 1-876-804-7072. You can call me on WhatsApp. Go ahead now, Marie.
Yeah, but just to come from down a parliament, remember I will tell you, to be there was something else, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen. Don't forget
Good evening.
It was mesmerizing, Mark commanded, and you know what I like, because we just come in and catch you, I like how he asserted the fact that he's the undisputed leader of the party. I love the party. So
Obi put that out there.
It
was Obi who put that out there.
Who put that out there?
Obi.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
I like how we asserted to that is undisputed. Yeah, Obi, I'm coming, come catch the party. He's the undisputed thing there. I can't remember everything, I tell you, I was enthralled. But you know what?
We are picking up your excitement, Marie.
Hold on, Obi, hold on. Go ahead, Marie.
Him never come with a market basket. But the man, something practical we're going to eat with now. The man gets 2 water bottles and a liter of water. More than a liter of gas.
500 milliliter, which is half a liter, is $100. Then him take up a next one and him said 2 buckle equal 1 liter, which is $200. A liter of gas is $187. A liter of water is dearer than a liter of gas. Prime
Drop
Minister,
the GCT.
you're talking about health. Reduce the GCT per water.
Tell in Portland was right here beside him, gentlemen. They put on him the buckle of water, them,
Yes, man.
Tell you. It was attacked, it was good. Well, over the peanut gallery side, it was whoop, 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 nice, and they tried to shut him down. But I think Mark has learned the things of the politics, that.
Yes, he's very comfortable. Very comfortable now.
He kept on talking. If them the shutting down thing can't work like one time. If they keep on talking, at some point them have to go shut down. Because them was very raucous. Maybe in a year another thing. Very raucous and stuff. But he kept on going and stuff. So like we said, I could see Thursday what the primate, because he touched everything. And you know what I like about it too? For women, the issue about domestic violence and the centers that he said that because a lot of times a lot of women are in dire situations, and because of not having an alternative of where to go, a lot of them stay into them and it turned out detrimental for them. So I like that part too about having centers. They would have centers, we know it's not going to implement, but just to say that they would have centers that would accommodate, because the progressive countries do things like that, have centers for women from domestic violence. But all in
all them tell you. And let me tell you, when the parliament done, we just bust out in the anthem and we are march.
All right.
Tell you.
Bless
It
up.
was, it was,
Bless
it
up.
was good.
All
Yes.
right.
Marie.
Ralston and Obi,
Mm-hmm.
did opposition Mark Golding mocked the Jamaican people by laying out the PNP manifesto in the parliament today from the last election?
Did he?
You didn't hear me, Obi?
Did he mock
the Jamaican people by saying, see it ya, uno never accept it, but this would work now. Because what he laid out, don't know if you realize, was the manifesto of the People's National Party from the last election, saying to the Jamaican people it was good then, and even after Melissa and the war in Iran, it is still good now.
You going first, Riley?
Yeah, I don't think it's a mockery. I just think that is demonstrating to them what they missed because of their folly and because of their lack of imagination, as well as because of their opportunistic behavior.
Yes.
Yes.
So he basically throwed it back in their face. As I
Yeah,
what happened? Khalid, I don't want to use those terms because I wouldn't use the word mocked and I wouldn't use the word throw in the face because Mark is not like that to basically mock or to throw anything.
I am putting it that way,
But I'm saying that I wouldn't use those language because you can get the wrong take away from it. I think what happened is that he reminded Jamaicans to say that here it is. We have basically put these out there, and this is what we would be put it out, and they're still in vogue today as they were leading up to September 3rd last year. But those are that's how the way I would craft it, and which is true. Because certainly, as you pointed out, it's really a pull of the PNP's manifesto in a great way with a number of the things that Mark pushed today. Yeah,
man. But the opposition leader cannot be seen as mocking the people. What he did was to demonstrate to them what they missed because of their opportunism and lack of vision. Simple.
Absolutely.
So you're saying, don't use the word mock, but he again presented the PNP manifesto saying to the people of Jamaica in September of 2025, these were solid plans. We have had a hurricane, a category 5, and we are having a war down in the Middle East. These plans are still solid and valid. This is what you miss.
Yeah.
We have a
that's how I put it. Yeah, man.
So, Ralston, some of the things though that was put forward today, if we don't use them, can we recover from Hurricane Melissa, Olan Jr., and the shock that is coming from this war down in the Middle East within 5 years?
No, and that is why he mentioned the thing about the centers, because we're going to need more of those centers. If we continue to pursue these reckless policies, we're going to need more of those centers. Because disposable income is shrinking, and people are going to find it very hard to survive. And you're going to see those problems manifesting in the household. The woman has said the money not enough. The man has said, boy, may I work as hard as me can't work and me can't bring in no more. And you know what come with all of that? Yeah, so he's looking to the future when he talk about more of these centers, because we're going to need more of those things, because family life is going to break down more. It's already broken down. It's going to break down more under the weight of these policies. Yeah, these stupid policies,
Raleigh, what do you make? I absolutely agree. What do you make of what the commander down there in St. James said? He was quoted. I know you're probably in your review of the papers yesterday, Colin, where you'd have seen it, where he talked about the situation down there in St. James, and he basically said, "Listen, from what they're picking up anecdotally, the COVID." The Melissa scenario seems to be what is driving this uptick in domestic murder, because a number of these persons are unemployed, and as a result of that, it's getting to them. And dovetail that, Raleigh, into what we have always been saying, and Mark said it, the rebuilding process really started in earnest. Where would we be at this time, Raleigh?
But we know them thing are common sense now. So Melissa come, the man them not have no work. Yeah, everybody feel hopeless. The woman them have to pick them at the yard and them thing. The money now come in. We don't know how them thing work out already. I mean, you don't need for have no PhD to see them thing. So when we say the breakdown in a family life, that we mean the money now run. That means that also upside down. Woman at this man. Yeah, man at this woman. Yeah.
Let me add something to that. On October 28, 2025, you have people who were millionaires. And on October 30th,
wipe out.
They were broke.
Yeah, man.
From a millionaire a day ago to a pauper the day after.
Yeah, man.
What mental effect this is going to have on people of the West and people of Jamaica who have been affected in that way by the hurricane. Let me just thank the people on Caribbean Radio 97.9 HD4 for joining us for the Colin Bell Show for yet another Tuesday. We are on this station every Tuesday evening for 2 hours from 6 p.m. in the United States to 8 p.m. every Tuesday. And we implore you to join us as we speak governance about our beautiful island of Jamaica. We have on the line at this time the #1 financial analyst in Jamaica, Ralston Iman, and the talk show host on Radio Jamaica 94.5 FM. And we have Conrad O'Brien from Sleek FM and from the Conrad OB, the Fireman YouTube channel, talking to us this evening about the presentation of the Leader of Opposition, his contribution to the 2025-2026 budget debate in the House of Representatives in Jamaica. Both gentlemen are rating Mark Golding out of 10, Ralston?
9.
Out of 10, Obi?
I'm going to be a little bit more charitable. I'm rating opposition leader Mark Jefferson Gordon and PNP president 9.5 out of 10. I could give him a plumb 10, but I have to leave something there. But certainly his presentation was really spot on.
I also have him at a 9. Sorry, I have him at a 9. It was an excellent presentation, and he's showing great levels of maturity and comfort making his presentation in the parliament now.
Colin, just before you move there, sorry, I'm not taking any credit for this. Just to say that, I often opine that a few years ago, Mark was an unknown, and we saw him being introduced to the Jamaican people. He has been fully introduced. He is now a household name. And what we have been seeing over the last few years is Mark Golding coming into his own. And I think today, certainly he once again demonstrated that here I am, I have arrived, I am on the big stage, and certainly I believe that the Jamaican people really and truly, we in Jamaica here, we are better off of having Mark Golding as the leader of one of Jamaica's oldest political party. And indeed, it's when you look at the pair of hands that we have. Certainly, I am saying this. I believe that it was a travesty, a missed opportunity for the Jamaican people not to entrusted Mark with the top job at Jamaica House. That's my view.
Ralston, who in the parliament understand the tax system in Jamaica better than Mark Golding?
Very few. I think none.
Nobody.
None.
I would say none.
None, because as I said before, and I'll say it repeatedly, the level of economic intelligence on the other side is very limited at the highest level.
And it shows clear.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Raleigh. Finish your thought.
Based on the things that they have done and the way they have managed the economy and their utterances, the level of economic intelligence is at a very low level on that side.
And it also shows clear, Raleigh, that based on the budget that they had presented,
yeah, man.
Mark called it lazy.
Yeah, man.
That was
no
a
innovation,
lazy budget.
No creativity.
Thinking.
Yeah, man. That's 6-farm budget.
You sure? 6 farm?
Yeah.
With no ideas?
Not
no
innovation. Yeah. 6B. Not 6A, you know, 6B. A 6B economic student.
Innovation and some creativity.
Yeah, man. A 6B economic student. Because all these things. One thing that
no man, Raleigh, it was not 6 farm. It was Frankwood O-level presentation budget, man. Yeah. Accounting presentation.
All right, Raleigh, go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, one thing that we see people like Chris Zaka talking about in this thing about pension reform. Right now, the pension funds are allowed to invest 5% of their money in equities. Under the reform that she's talking about, it move up to 7.5%. Moving from 5% to 7.5% is only $21 billion. The BOJ will be auctioning $20 billion in its CD auction tomorrow. That's one CD auction. So that will not make any big difference to the economy. They are trying to fool the people.
And if you're investing pension funds money, it's government papers and them kind of mop up their deal.
Safety, precisely. Yeah. So those things are not going to have any big effect on the economy. Stupidness.
Raleigh, one of the things that came out of Melissa, we going kind of segue with it. But one thing that came out of Melissa, right, was the song and dance as to the money that we got from the IMF, and there was about a 2.6 billion, I think, that was in there for take up from private sector.
2.4.
2.4. We have always said, Raleigh, with the declining in FDI, foreign direct investment, we don't see that take up. How is it looking at this time, Raleigh? Even more perilous?
Yeah, well, from day one, it was never on, because the level of foreign direct investment that we mobilized in 2024, based on Bank of Jamaica data, because the data we use, $300 million, we're coming from almost $1 billion in 2016, right? So even before that, that wasn't a problem. Now, with the level of uncertainty, Frank Knight, we'll teach him about some economics. Frank Knight, who run the monetary school at Chicago, him tell you that uncertainty is harder to measure than risk. So uncertainty is more dangerous than risk, because you can measure risk, but you can't measure uncertainty. Now, with what has happened in the international environment with the President of the United States of America and America's conduct, there's a great deal of uncertainty. So all of the investors, now that was before 3 weeks ago with this thing now, the war of choice. Yeah, war of choice. We want to make it clear. The war of choice on Iran. The thing is even more uncertain now. So what you see is investors are running to precious metals, gold, silver. Yeah, they are not investing any money around the place. So it's even more perilous now to mobilize that level of investment, because in normal times you couldn't mobilize it. So it's going to be difficult now to mobilize that in times of uncertainty.
Another thing I want you to explain, Raleigh. Mark pointed out that the easing of the fiscal policy will last for 2 years. And if the government is going to do something, it must be now.
No, the time value of money, you have to do it now. The longer you take, it is going to be the more difficult to do what you have to do, and the people will suffer unnecessarily. So if you notice the connectivity between those centers, because when the people are suffering, that is what you're going to see, the fallout in the homes, the fallout in the communities. So the quicker you move, the better for you, because the thing is getting more uncertain. Nobody knew that Larry Johnny and Suleimani would be killed today and that the thing will step up. There'll be no negotiated settlement with this thing, you know. So as long as the Straits of Hormuz are blocked and the crude oil price is coming, because that's the trigger of inflation globally. Once crude oil prices are climbing, inflation is accelerating, interest rates have to be higher, growth have to slow down. Simple. Those are simple economic equations. 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead, Obi.
Absolutely. I was saying, Raleigh, one of the things outside of the movements of oil, we understand that another thing that have been impacted is the price of alumina and so on. Is there any benefit for us from that increase in alumina?
Well, right now, that increase, you're going to see a backing off of that increase right now. That is why we're saying that when the opportunity comes, you must take advantage of it.
Yes.
The problem with what happening is that jet fuel prices are going to go up. Airline tickets are going to go up. The demand for travel is going to be reduced. So the demand for all of those things is going to be reduced. Once you have this kind of movement in fuel is a trigger. Remember, we operate in an energy-intensive economy. So once the cost of energy goes up, it filters into everything. Right now, there's a big problem with fertilizer.
Indeed.
Fertilizer prices are climbing. What is the plan to deal with food security? All those things we have to talk about.
But Raleigh, we should have been looking at food security from COVID. We've been talking about ramping up food security on this island, and the government has done nothing.
Remember, that is why I tell you that we have no confidence in it. Remember that massive committee that Nigel Clark set up after COVID?
Yes.
We about 40 people. What came out of that?
Nothing.
That's the point.
Indeed. In today's Observer, the executive director for the TEF, Dr. Oh my goodness. Gentleman there. He basically, was addressing a forum in Negril. And he said that, listen, it's urging farmers to basically deal with production, ramp up production so we can supply.
You're talking about Dr. Kerry Wallace?
So we can ramp up production so we can basically supply the hotel chain. Really, that's a conversation that we have been having ad nauseum for years, and this is what we just hearing somebody like Dr. Kerry Wallace coming on this. What do you make of that, Raleigh? While we know that direction that should go, but are you seeing where the necessary incentive is being provided? Have we done anything out of the budget that can give us confidence that this is a serious push that we'll see from the sector?
No, that's the point, because we have been talking about these things, but we haven't seen the incentives to drive the sector in that direction. So there's a whole lot of talk, because at this point, the minister himself for tourism said we only get 41% of the tourism expenditure because of the weak linkages. And we have been saying that for years and years and years and years, but we haven't seen the incentives. We haven't seen the fixing of the rural road network. We haven't heard anything about fertilizer prices, despite the fact that fertilizer prices are going up. We haven't heard anything about those things, how you're going to get the sector going.
I spoke to Isaac Buchanan a couple of weeks ago, MP for East Portland, and he told me in that interview that the government has given nothing new since the hurricane to the farmers in East Portland to ramp up any agricultural production.
That is why the budget is such a failure, because the budget just comes to take rather than to give. When you need to be giving, you are taking. That is why it is such a failure.
But we're really in a very perilous state, dovetailing into all of this, We hear that the absentee level in school in Kingston and its environments is 15%, and we're still hearing about the amount of children or students that's still not identifiable, cannot be identified out of Western Jamaica, against the background here of all of what we're talking about, a low level of skill sets and training and so on for the workforce. Really, we in trouble.
Yeah, man, those things are going to get worse with the current direction, because what we're going to be doing is that we're going in the same direction. So when we talk about cyclical and counter-cyclical policies, what they're doing is pursuing cyclical policies. They're still going in the downward direction. We need counter-cyclical policies to move us into a different direction. It's like you're climbing out of a hole. And instead of someone throw a rope and give you to come out of the hole, they throw 1,000 pounds on you to keep you in the hole.
And yes, Mark did mention that. Did use that analogy indeed.
Somebody in the chat room is asking, Raleigh, are we in a financial crisis? Are we in a food security crisis? Are we, crisis along with multitude of crises?
Correct.
Or crises?
Yeah, man. We're in a multitude of crises, social and economic crises, which cover everything: finance, economics, family life, everything, morality. Yeah. And that is why the kind of comprehensive presentation that was made today was an attempt to address all of these things, because the society in crisis, economy in crisis, households in crisis, communities in crisis, moral crisis. Because the whole thing about corruption is a moral crisis, you know. Yeah.
Yes. And the opposition leader did talk about that as well.
Comprehensive, yeah. So we don't want a man coming with like a political speech, or like a tracing business for 7 hours on him. They want a comprehensive thing, yeah.
I want to hear workable solutions, things that are going to happen now. Some of the things that the GLP mentioned in their manifesto rally that you'd want to see now. You remember anything from their manifesto that needs to be put in place now?
No, I don't remember anything from that. What we want to see now is some measures to address the current crisis that we are in.
Let me tell you one thing that they promised that the people need right now. The salary, the increase of $32,000 minimum wage.
That not gonna work right now. It wasn't workable from that time. It not gonna work now. Which businessman you can go to with that right
now? Colin.
Yes.
Listen to me. I'm not going to bust it here because you have to listen to me tomorrow. But keep your eyes on the east. I have something major.
What? Somebody crossing the floor from the GLP?
I am saying keep your eyes on the east, right?
On the
east. Your east, far east. Keep your eyes on the east.
But hear this, gentlemen. Hear this. With the new tax measures of $18 billion and the increase in taxi fares coming up.
Colin, by the way, that's the next thing the people don't understand. When you say the tax increase is $18 billion, the reduction in spending is more than $18 billion now. Because just like investments have a multiplier effect, taxes also have a multiplier effect. So you're looking at more at like $30 billion being taken out of circulation with the tax policy.
30 billion.
Yeah,
and with the increase in taxi fare,
correct.
Editor Newman told you that Darrell Vaz promised them 16% fare increase within 4 weeks.
In fact, he said something that them have a meeting tonight and the minister is going to be there, and that's what they're going to talk about.
Oh,
yeah.
How the people who are earning minimum wage can survive on the present minimum wage, and that's why I mentioned that 32,000 must come in place now.
Who are going to pay the 32,000? So you tell the businessman that you are going to tax them, right? The international economy has slowed down. Demand are weak. Which businessman are going to increase in wage bill? You the government just a ball about your wage bill, $555 billion, and then the business community, you impose a tax on them. Then you believe them are really paying the body 32,000. Mass layoffs you talk about. Which is
Absolutely. Well, as it relates to the increase in the taxi sector, Edgerton was with me a couple of days ago. You know, I was on my program as guest, and also another young man, Corey. He is the carriage operator and I think an executive member of one of the grouping. And they're saying that, listen, as it relates to the 16%, which Edgerton confirmed, that's a done deal. Because remember that the 16% increase, was what was granted to them before they get it in tranche. So they got the first tranche and the second tranche is to come. So this is something that is definitely going to be in vogue within another couple of weeks. However, what they're saying now is that with the gas increase in gas and the attendant issue, they want an additional amount. But I put it to them because I said, listen, in the main, their constituents, that they are moving, or one could say at the bottom of the totem pole, the minimum wage earner. And so it is sticky, Colin and Raleigh.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Raleigh. Have you ever seen a government backtrack from a tax package that they have proposed?
Yeah.
Yes.
This one.
Yeah. This one?
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, I mean the overall tax package.
Like they proposed this $18 billion based on what the PNP has presented.
Do you believe that
them some option and the fact that this is really a wrong move that the government is doing. I am wondering if they will backtrack.
No, man.
I thought you were mentioning, like, for example, a proposal to basically put a tax somewhere and back away from taxing that. That's what you're talking?
I remember the gas tax, but like this $18 billion package, is it possible that they could rethink and say, all right, let's change our mind on this and let's go?
No, I don't see that in the character of this administration. They belong to the school of doubling down even when you're wrong. And just to refresh your memory, I can remember an administration that backed down when Phillips would have come with a tax. The current prime minister said they'll shut down the place and Phillips back up.
Yeah, that's what I
look more money in order to pay down the debt that they created with the IMF. Yeah. And Phillips compromised and back up, but this is not in their nature. They don't have the humility and them today. It's about arrogance and hubris.
So if they go ahead with this tax package rally, do it the way that they have proposed, what are the outcomes?
Fundamental damage to the economy, and that is why I'm saying that if you notice the leader of the opposition was covering the social basis and talking about those centers and all of those things, because that will be the spillover effect. More poverty, more criminality, more social dislocation. Yeah. I mean, if you notice, all the interest groups that run business in Jamaica are against this tax package.
And if the war in the Middle East continues, let's say till the end of April, let's say the middle of April, what further damage would that do to the
big time damage, as I said, more poverty because inflation will accelerate. Yeah. People, the cost of living will get higher with the acceleration in inflation. And you'll see it spilling over in family life, in criminality, because as Richie Spice, run red, every man I look them on a tea bread. Yeah, so every day here and next you dead because what competition, the money now run, man I forgot that. Yeah.
So therefore, Raleigh and Colin, even one of the areas that Mark Golden was so really and truly gave the government, certain the police officers some credit on the reduction in murder. What you're saying is that based on all of this, Colin, Raleigh, we could even those numbers could really be in jeopardy.
Them things that step up. And one thing that we see happening in some countries. Take for example, the government say they want to get 46 billion from Petrojan. In a lot of countries in the Middle East right now, the man them are subsidized fuel, Because they must say the people them can't manage high fuel prices. So I better you subsidize the fuel prices rather than make the economy collapse. And a whole heap of country faced with that probability right now. Yeah.
So you think it is time right now, Raleigh? Sorry, Colin. You think it is time now for the $7.50 that is being charged per litre for the edge, which was suspended, but the government still collected? You think it is the opportune time for our government to give us a reprieve on that?
Well, a sense of the administration will be looking at some ways to cushion the impact of high fuel prices on the economy, because that is going to be devastating.
I want to look at it another way. Should we hold the government accountable for taking this money from us for the insurance, not insure gas, and now that gas will spiral out of control? Should we hold them accountable for that?
And holding them accountable means that they have to do something for cushion the prices.
And where the money will come from, Raleigh?
Well, that is why I'm saying to you that in terms of the amount of money that them line up, again, we'll go back to it. As Julian said, you could have easily borrow an extra $10 billion, even with the $18 billion.
But not hold on, Raleigh. Not borrow, because we already have borrowed this money. Just take some out, take one extra $10 billion.
That's the point I'm making, because them have all of this money lined up.
Right. This money is there already.
Yeah, the problem is, if you don't take this money and the crisis pass, because more countries are going to be in problems now are already in problems based on the devastation caused by the war. So the world will no longer have that kind of money to give you if you don't use it now. Once in a life opportunity, and those money are cheap money that can facilitate economic growth. So if
is it that the government is playing coward by not doing a big drawdown this year?
Yeah, man, because of the same accounting. Them watching the debt to GDP ratio, and I'm saying to you, $18 billion is not even 1% of GDP. GDP is programmed at 3.86 trillion. So 1% of GDP is $38 billion. So even if they borrowed 1% of GDP more, it wouldn't be a problem.
And use some of it to stimulate the economy.
Yeah, 18 billion is 1/2 of 1% of GDP. That won't do any violence to the debt to GDP ratio. Once you're below 80%, you're good. We're down to 68% now. Yeah.
So would you suggest that they take 1% of that GDP, which is the $38 billion, stimulate the economy,
stimulate the economy,
going?
Precisely. Yeah.
But Ralston, with all of these options available to a government, right? To a government, and the government refuse in using these options so that the people could be in a better place. There's no other way to describe a government like than wicked and uncaring, Colin and Ralston.
And incompetent, because the minister herself.
Because if you have these options, certainly we have enumerated the point. It's not like you have to go and do some heavy lifting to negotiate to get this loan. It's already there. It's for you now to just use the 1% of the 38 billion that you said, which is there. Why can't we do this?
All right, so watch it.
Come on, man.
The Minister of Finance herself, in the fiscal policy paper, which is the most important budget document, says the economy needs to grow by at least 4 to 7% every single year in order to pay the public sector workers and bring down the debt and provide the most basic social services.
Yes.
She herself said that.
Yes.
And she has put nothing in place to do that. She's telling us that we're going to grow by 1% in the year 2030.
That's why I laugh. That's why I laugh. Because everything that put out there show that at best we're going to recover, and at the end of the day we'll end up with a 1% growth or so. But at the same time, the most significant document that is basically signed off by the minister herself, so we need to grow by between 5 to 7%. Come on, man.
This is why I'm gonna rate them. And no matter what them say, this is why I'm gonna rate them.
Gentlemen, we're going to leave. OB, your final views.
All right, just to say my final point, just to congratulate opposition leader Mark Jefferson Golden, Marky G, and a brilliant presentation this afternoon. Certainly he continued on where his spokesperson and finance Julian Robinson left off. He had quite a bit more to meat to the bone, and indeed wasn't just critical of the government, but certainly put a lot of creative and workable ideas. Because that is it. You can put ideas, but workable ideas. And I think that's what underpinned the presentation as being so important, because the proposals are very, very workable. So it's up to see what Andrew Holness will come with now in terms of will he basically eat humble pie and come to the wicket and say, listen, the opposition have put forward some brilliant suggestion and we believe in adopting some of these proposals, it will be better off for the people of Jamaica. We await to see day after tomorrow what Andrew Holness will bring to the table. Will he come with a 7-hour presentation with a lot of fluff garbage and cursing out everybody and basically take on the media and say, listen, we're not carrying the line for the Labour, for the government and all of that. We await to see. But all in all, excellent presentation by Mark Golden. And Colin, the world is certainly a different place after Melissa here in Jamaica, but the world as a whole is even a much different place since the last 3 weeks or so after the unprovoked war there with in Iran by the United States and Israel.
Hold on, Raleigh. Hold on. Just before you come in, Raleigh. Hold on for me.
Tell them to try pre-we, big up Portland Spice TV. Tell them to try pre-we, big up Portland Spice TV. Remember to subscribe. See, Portland Spice TV, Louis Culture say it once, so I say it again. Portland Spice TV. We are going to hold them and pop it off. Bogus match where we rip off. Subscribe, share. Portland Spice TV is here.
Raleigh, your final views on this evening's
well, simple.
program. Yeah.
Just like the fiscal commissioner, the budget doesn't make any sense. It has no credibility. In economics, it's like economics heresy. Because you are coming from a situation where we had infrastructural damage of $1.4 trillion, economic losses of $620 billion, so that's $2 trillion. The budget was crafted without taking that into consideration. Then after the budget was crafted, we are now faced with this international stagflation or international recession that is going to be driven by higher crude prices. So it is economic heresy to come with a tax package in that kind of environment. What we need in this kind of environment that is filled with uncertainty, which could lead to a great stagflation or a great recession, is a budget that seeks to grow the economy. We need a growth strategy. So we have already induced our own recession, and we are going to see an international recession or international stagflation. So the ideas that were presented in the presentation by the leader of the opposition, we need to see an implementation of some of those ideas if the economy is going to recover and if the quality of life of the people is going to improve. So we're saying to the Prime Minister, we know that you come from a school that you don't see humility as a foundation of all virtues, because that's how your boss in Washington behaves. So we're saying to you that we do not want to see a long 8-hour and 7-hour presentation that is based on going back to 1960 and 1970 and telling us about FinSac, because we haven't seen the FinSac report. Those of us who were around knew what took place. So we don't want to waste any time on that. We want to tell us what is the growth strategy? Yeah? How is it that you are going to deal with the current international crisis? What is you going to do to cushion the impact of higher fuel prices on the economy? What is it that you are going to do in order to reduce things like corruption, which is sapping the energy of the Jamaican people? We want to hear about your own, in terms of your own statutory filings as a top man, because those things set a bad example for the rest of the country. So those are things that we want you to cover. Growth strategy, yeah? How you are going to deal with current international crisis, how you are going to cushion the impact of higher crude prices on the economy. Tell us exactly what happened in relation to the Cuban doctors and how the people are going to get better health care now that the Cuban doctors are going to go home. Those are some of the things that we want here, the things that touch on the people's quality of life. We don't want the fluff and the cascas and the trips and all that thing. We're not into that.
All right,
gentlemen. Once and for all, he will address his own filing. You're holding your breath, Colin?
No,
not at all.
No, we know that we want that, but we are saying those are things that the people want to hear about.
Remember, he said in the debate, that he's no longer under investigation. That's what he told the nation in the debate, and no journalist challenged him on it.
Oh my God.
Anyway, gentlemen, thanks for the time. We'll talk.
All right. Blessed. All right. Blessed on it. Yeah, man.
Ralston Iman. Thank them for the time this evening right here on Portland Spice TV. Junior. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What? That's so long, man. Talk to me, Junior. Talk to me before we go. Talk to me.
What a presentation.
What a presentation.
What a presentation. Now, when I after zero, I listen to will like it, because when you hear Mark Golden presenting, you realize that if you want to learn how to run a country,
yes,
listen to the presentation.
Yes.
I mean, we get about the biases and we do like this and we do like that, and don't concentrate on who was delivering the message.
Yes.
They look at the message.
Listen to the message.
The message itself.
Forget the messenger.
Man. Because if you want to know how to run a country, listen to my money. I remember,
how much you give him out of 10?
Give us a couple. I give a 9.5.
9.5. All right, sir.
Yeah. And before I go there, Mr. Video gets to ask the question. How you use money to buy free bus? How you buy free bus?
Oh, you use money to buy free bus. It's like the man who jump the fence to go in at the dance, tear up in trousers, and when he realize the dance free.
Me didn't go and ask Ralston, because I know Ralston is a financial genius.
Well,
because me need to know.
Make we ask him tomorrow.
I make people tell you.
We'll bring him back tomorrow. Let's ask him tomorrow.
Yeah, man, because me still want to know how you spend money to buy a free bus. And the other thing before I go away, you hear the thing about this 6, 7 school them, or them is like the 25.
Them jump off. They fell off the stem.
Come on,
Melissa blow them off the stem.
Receive school, you know.
Wait a second, they're known to steal school?
They know receive school. They 25. And now them gone 6.
Oh.
Them doing better.
They're doing better. Little more, brother. Little more, Uncle Junior. Tomorrow we'll talk. Yeah, man. Blessings. Lord of mercy. Listeners and viewers, we have gone way over time. Let me thank all of you for spending the time with us today. It has been a pleasure. Thanks to Ralston Iman. Thanks to Conrad O'Brien. Thanks to you, my listeners and subscribers. Thanks to all the Portland Spice ambassador. Please bring 10 more subscribers. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers and we seek your assistance. Want to thank everybody in the chat room. Very active chat room this evening. A lot of people gave Mark Golden 10 out of 10. Conrad O'Brien gave him 9.5. Ralston gave him 9. I gave him 9. We all thought it was an excellent presentation by Mark Golden, and he looks very, very comfortable in the parliament, contributing to the 2025-2026 budget presentation. This has been the Colin Bell Show for yet another Tuesday evening, right here on Portland Spice TV. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and become a Portland Spice ambassador by introducing this channel to more people. May the good Lord continue to bless and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his light and give you his peace. Until we meet again for the Colin Bell Show tomorrow evening. Peace be with you, my people.
Tell them to try pre-we, big up Portland Spice TV. Tell them to try pre-way. Big up Portland Spice TV. Remember to subscribe. See, Portland Spice TV. Louis Culture said it once, so I say it again. Portland Spice TV. We are going to hold them and pop it off. Bogus match where we rip off. Subscribe, share. Portland Spice TV is here.